I'm standing in the dusty old conference room of my high school, the place where my spirit was nearly broken years ago. The staff is buzzing with excitement about a mystery investor saving their failing school. Then I walk in, and my former teacher's face turns ghost white. "Maya," she stammers, her voice cracking like thin ice. "What are you doing here?" I smile calmly and slide the ownership papers across the table. "I'm here to fix what you tried to destroy, including you. If you've ever fantasized about turning the tables on someone who crushed your dreams, stick around. This is my real-life story of sweet, satisfying revenge." Hello, everyone. My name is Maya Thompson, and I'm 28 years old, living in the bustling heart of New York City. By day, I run a thriving ed-tech startup that helps millions of students learn online, something I built from scratch after facing more doubt and dismissal than anyone should. I'm not a celebrity or some overnight success story. I'm just a girl who turned pain into power. Today, I want to share a very personal chapter from my life, one that's raw, emotional, and honestly, a bit triumphant. This isn't fiction. It's my real-life journey. And if you've ever felt that burning sting of being underestimated, I hope it resonates with you. Maybe it'll even inspire you to chase your own comeback. If you've ever dreamed of serving justice to someone who wronged you, whether it's a bully, a boss, or even a teacher, hit that like button right now, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more stories like this. Get comfy, grab a snack, because we're about to go deep into how one woman's cruelty fueled my fire. Let's begin. Okay, let's rewind to where it all started. I was just 16 years old, a junior at Lincoln High School in a quiet suburb outside Chicago. Imagine the scene. The hallways echoing with the slam of metal lockers, the faint, lingering scent of gym class sweat mixed with the sharp tang of floor cleaner, and that ever-present hum of teenage chatter, gossip, laughter, and the occasional heated argument over who sat where in the cafeteria. It was your typical American high school, complete with cliques, crushes, and that underlying pressure to figure out who you were supposed to be. Me? I wasn't the cheerleader type or the star athlete. I wasn't even the bookworm who aced every test without trying. No, I was the dreamer, the one who spent lunch periods scribbling ideas in a worn-out notebook, my mind racing with visions of the future that felt so big, so impossible, yet so vividly real to me. My dreams centered around education, of all things. I hated how rigid school felt, sitting in rows, memorizing facts that seemed disconnected from the real world. I imagined a way to make learning exciting, accessible, like a game or an adventure. I'd whisper to my best friend Sarah about creating an app where kids could learn at their own pace, with videos, interactive quizzes, and even virtual communities to connect with others. Imagine if school didn't feel like a prison, I'd say, my eyes lighting up. Sarah would nod enthusiastically, but deep down, I think even she wondered if I was reaching too far. And then there was Mrs. Carlton, the antagonist in this story, who turned my high school years into a battlefield. She was my English teacher, a woman in her late 40s with a severe bob haircut that framed her sharp, angular face like a frame around a stern portrait. her wire-rimmed glasses perched on the bridge of her nose, and she'd peer over them with this piercing gaze that made you feel exposed, like she could see every flaw you tried to hide. Her voice was clipped and authoritative, carrying an undertone of disdain that she reserved for students who didn't fit her narrow definition of promising. She wasn't just tough. She was cruel in a calculated way, the kind of person who derived a twisted satisfaction from dimming someone else's light. From the very first day in her class, I felt her target lock onto me. I'd sit in the back row, trying to blend into the faded posters on the wall, quotes from Shakespeare and Hemingway that seemed as dusty as the room itself, but she always called on me, her questions laced with expectation of failure. "Maya, enlighten us with your thoughts on this passage," she'd say, her lips twisting into a smirk before I could even respond. No matter what I offered, an interpretation, a question, anything, it was never good enough. "That's superficial at best," she'd snap, her words slicing through the air like a whip. The class would titter nervously, and I'd feel that familiar heat rising in my cheeks, a burning flush that spread from my neck to my ears. My hands would clench under the desk, nails digging into my palms until they left crescent-shaped marks. Inside, my mind would scream, "Why me? What have I done to deserve this? Is it because I don't kiss up like the others?" It wasn't just the public humiliations. It was the way she made me question my worth. I remember one afternoon after class, gathering the courage to approach her desk. The room was empty except for the ticking clock on the wall and the faint hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. "Mrs. Carlton?" I started, my voice barely above a whisper. "I really want to improve. Do you have any advice?" She looked up slowly, her expression one of mild annoyance, like I was a pesky fly buzzing around her. "Advice? Maya, some students just aren't cut out for this. Focus on basics. Don't overreach." Her words hit like a punch to the gut, leaving me winded. I nodded mutely, backing away, but inside a storm raged, anger mixing with a deep, aching sadness. She's supposed to help us, not break us, I thought, blinking back tears as I hurried down the empty hallway. But the real breaking point, the moment that etched itself into my memory like a scar, came during our career day presentations. We were assigned to share our future aspirations, and I poured my heart into mine. I stayed up late for nights on end, my desk lamp casting a warm glow over sketches and notes. I created a poster board with colorful diagrams of my online learning platform, interactive modules, global access, personalized paths. It was rough, sure, a teenager's crude blueprint, but it represented everything I believed in. The day of presentations, my heart pounded like a drum in my chest as I waited my turn. The classroom smelled of chalk dust and teenage nervousness, the air thick with anticipation. When I stood at the front, poster in hand, my knees wobbled slightly. "I want to build an education startup," I began, my voice gaining strength as I spoke. "An online platform that makes learning fun and available to everyone, no matter where they are. It could help kids who struggle in traditional schools, like me sometimes." I glanced around, hoping for nods or smiles. But then Mrs. Carlton interrupted with that infamous laugh, a harsh, barking sound that reverberated off the cinder block walls. "Oh, Maya, how quaint. A startup? You of all people? Darling, you can hardly string together a coherent essay in my class. Online learning? That's nothing but a passing trend, a complete waste of time. Be realistic. Aim for something modest, like retail or administrative work. You'll never amount to anything with delusions like that." The room exploded in muffled laughter, a wave of giggles that washed over me like cold water. I stood there, rooted to the spot, feeling exposed and small, as if the ground had opened up beneath me. My throat constricted, a lump forming that made it hard to swallow. Tears stung my eyes, hot and insistent, but I fought them back with every ounce of willpower. Don't cry. Don't give her the satisfaction. My hands trembled as I folded the poster, the paper crinkling loudly in the sudden silence. Inside, my thoughts were a whirlwind. She's wrong. She has to be wrong. But what if she's not? What if I'm just a fool, dreaming too big? That night, I got home and collapsed onto my bed, the sobs coming in waves that shook my whole body. My pillow muffled the sounds, but the pain was unrelenting, a deep, visceral ache of betrayal and powerlessness. My mom, bless her, was my rock. She was a single mom, working double shifts as a nurse to keep us afloat in our modest two-bedroom apartment. The place always smelled faintly of her lavender hand lotion, a comforting scent amid the chaos. When she found me crying, she sat on the edge of my bed, stroking my hair. "Baby girl, that woman's bitter because life didn't go her way. Don't let her poison your dreams." Her words helped a little, but the damage lingered, like a bruise that throbbed with every reminder. For months after, I second-guessed myself. My grades dipped, not drastically, but enough to notice. I stopped sharing my ideas, even with Sarah. That sense of injustice festered, a constant undercurrent of frustration and resentment. How dare she, a teacher, someone entrusted with shaping young minds, use her position to crush instead of uplift? It tapped into that universal feeling we all know, the sting of being disrespected, underestimated, made to feel like your ambitions are laughable. And oh, did she escalate. It wasn't a one-off. Mrs. Carlton seemed to take pleasure in her campaign against me. During group projects, she'd pair me with the slackers, then blame me when things went awry. "See, Maya, teamwork requires focus, which you clearly lack." Her comments on my papers were scathing. Red ink bleeding across the pages like wounds. Vague, unoriginal, try harder, or don't. Each one chipped away at my confidence, leaving me with a gnawing doubt that followed me like a shadow. Parent-teacher conferences were the worst. She'd sit across from my mom, her posture rigid, voice dripping with false concern. "Maya has potential, but she's unfocused, chasing fantasies instead of reality. I suggest she consider vocational training." My mom would defend me fiercely, but walking out of those meetings, I'd feel the weight of her words pressing down, making me question if I was indeed the problem. Once, after a particularly brutal class, where she ridiculed my analysis of a novel in front of everyone. Childish drivel, Maya. Read it again. I confronted her privately. The bell had rung, students filing out in a rush, leaving the room eerily quiet. "Why do you always pick on me?" I asked, my voice trembling but defiant. She didn't even look up from grading papers. "Pick on you? I'm preparing you for the real world, where excuses don't fly. If you can't handle criticism, you'll fail spectacularly." Her dismissal was like a slap, leaving me reeling. I stormed out, fists clenched, tears blurring my vision. "One day, I'll show you. You'll regret every word." High school crawled by in that toxic haze, 2 more agonizing years under her thumb. Friends noticed. Sarah would pull me aside in the hall, her brow furrowed. "She's got it out for you. It's not fair." But what could I do? Complain? Risk retaliation? No. I endured, channeling the hurt into quiet determination. Graduation day finally arrived, a humid June afternoon with the sun beating down on the football field. As I crossed the stage, cap and gown fluttering, I caught her eye in the audience. No applause from her, just a cold, appraising stare. Goodbye and good riddance, I thought. But the scars remained, invisible but deep. College was my escape hatch. I headed to a state university in Illinois, on a mix of scholarships, grants, and student loans. Nothing fancy, but it was freedom. The campus was alive with possibility. Sprawling lawns dotted with students lounging under trees, the aroma of coffee from the student union wafting through the air, lectures buzzing with ideas that sparked my imagination. I double majored in computer science and education, a perfect blend for my vision. But it wasn't smooth sailing. Freshman year, I juggled classes with a part-time job at a diner, flipping burgers and serving endless cups of coffee to pay my way. My hands would ache from the grease and heat, but it was better than home. Those echoes of Mrs. Carleton haunted me, though. During late-night study sessions in the dimly lit library, surrounded by stacks of books and the soft glow of computer screens, doubt would creep in. What if she's right? What if I'm not smart enough? My heart would race, palms sweaty, as I debugged code or wrote papers. But I pushed back, using her words as fuel. Every A I earned, every project that clicked was a small victory against her narrative. The true turning point hit in my junior year. Our university hosted a hackathon, a 48-hour marathon of coding, caffeine, and creativity. I entered solo, nerves jangling like keys in my pocket. My idea? A prototype of that online learning app I dreamed up in high school. I called it LearnFlow back then, a basic version with gamified quizzes, video integrations, and chat features for peer support. The event space was chaotic. Teams huddled around laptops, pizza boxes strewn about, the air thick with the scent of energy drinks and determination. I coded furiously, fingers flying over the keys, ignoring the exhaustion that made my eyes burn. When judging time came, I presented to a panel of tech pros, my voice steady despite the butterflies in my stomach. LearnFlow bridges gaps in education, making it interactive and inclusive. To my astonishment, it won first place, a $5,000 prize and mentorship offers. One judge, Mr. Ellis, A venture capitalist with kind eyes and a firm handshake pulled me aside afterward. "This has legs, Maya. Real potential to disrupt education." His belief was a balm, soothing the old wounds. For the first time, someone in authority saw me, not as a failure, but as a force. Emboldened, I made the leap. I dropped out, not because I couldn't handle college, but because opportunity beckoned. With the prize money and Mr. Ellis's seed investment, I launched LearnFlow full-time from my cramped studio apartment in Chicago. The place was a shoebox, peeling wallpaper, a kitchenette that doubled as my office. But it was mine. Early days were grueling, coding until dawn, surviving on instant noodles and sheer will. Rejections piled up from investors. Too niche. Unproven market. Doubt reared its head again. Mrs. Carlton's voice echoing. Waste of time. I'd pace the room, heart pounding, fears swirling like a storm. What if this crashes and burns? What then? But I persevered, hiring my first employee, a fellow dropout coder named Alex, who believed in the vision. We iterated relentlessly, gathering feedback from beta users, teachers, students, parents. Make it more mobile-friendly, they'd say, and we'd pivot. Slowly, traction built. A local school district piloted it, then another. Users grew from hundreds to thousands. The pandemic hit like a tidal wave, thrusting online learning into the spotlight. Suddenly, LearnFlow was essential. Our servers strained under the load, but we scaled. Partnerships rolled in. Textbook companies, nonprofits. By age 25, we hit 1 million active users, revenue streaming from subscriptions and premium features. Forbes called Maya Thompson, from classroom reject to edtech phenom. The article detailed our $50 million valuation after Series A funding. But beyond the numbers, it was the impact. Emails from kids saying, "Your app made me love math," or parents thanking us for helping their child thrive. That validation? It healed parts of me I didn't know were still broken. Yet a part of me craved more. Justice for the girl she'd belittled. Fate delivered. Last year, scrolling emails in my sleek New York office, glass walls overlooking the skyline. A hum of my team collaborating. A message from a real estate contact caught my eye. Lincoln High teetered on closure. Declining enrollment, crumbling infrastructure, desperate for a buyer to privatize and revive it. My breath caught, electricity thrill coursing through me. This is destiny. The school that witnessed my humiliation, now mine for the taking. I didn't act impulsively. Planning was key. I formed a subsidiary for anonymity, bidding through layers of paperwork. We won, outbidding competitors with a generous offer. Then the fun part. Revamp plans, integrate LearnFlow tech, renovate facilities, emphasize student mental health, everything Mrs. Carlton opposed. For her, research revealed she was still there, tenured but unpopular, with a trail of student complaints about her harshness. I scheduled the unveiling meeting, butterflies fluttering as I prepared. Driving back to the suburb, familiar sights triggered memories. The old diner, the park where I'd escape after bad days. The school looked weary, paint chipping, weeds in the cracks. Time for change, I thought, squaring my shoulders. The conference room was a time capsule. Scuffed table, flickering fluorescent lights, the faint smell of stale coffee and old carpet. Teachers milled about, anxious chatter filling the air. "Heard it's a big investor," one said. Mrs. Carlton dominated, her voice as sharp as ever. "Better not be some tech bro, thinking education's app. We need real change." My entrance silenced them. Heels echoing, I strode in, portfolio in hand. Eyes turned, then widened. Mrs. Carlton's coffee cup slipped slightly, her face paling as recognition dawned. "Maya? Maya Thompson?" she croaked, voice fracturing. The room tensed. I smiled serenely. "Yes, it's me. Surprised?" Murmurs erupted. "The new owner?" someone gasped. I nodded, addressing the group. "Through LearnFlow, I'm investing $10 million to revitalize Lincoln High. New labs, digital curricula, support programs. We'll foster dreams, not crush them." Applause broke out, but Mrs. Carlton sat stunned, lips parted in disbelief. Her eyes darted, processing the impossible. Then, the payoff. I placed the folder before her. "For you, a tailored role. Teaching with our platform, under my oversight. Help mend what you've damaged." Her reaction unfolded like a slow-motion drama. She snatched the folder, pages rustling as she scanned. Shock morphed to outrage. Face reddening, veins bulging. "This is preposterous. You can't dictate to me. You were a nobody. A dreamer who flunked my class." Her voice rose, cracking with fury. The room inhaled sharply. I leaned forward, voice even but edged with resolve. "I was a student you tormented. Now I'm your boss. This isn't petty, it's accountability. Sign or resign. Choose." She hesitated, glaring daggers that once intimidated me. But the contract's perks, higher salary, modern tools, tipped the scale amid her defeat. With a huff, she signed, pen scratching like nails on chalkboard. As ink dried, euphoria washed over me, chest lightening, a triumphant grin breaking free. Finally, she sees. Tears pricked, not of pain, but release. Colleagues clapped, some sharing hushed tales of her cruelty. It was collective catharsis. Post-takeover, the school transformed. Vibrant classrooms, engaged kids using LearnFlow. Mrs. Carlton adapted grudgingly, her classes monitored. Each success reminded her and me that revenge, when earned through growth, is profoundly satisfying. Reflecting now, this tale underscores resilience's power. Injustices sting, but they can forge unbreakable strength. Karma circles back when we rise above. Have you faced a similar foe and triumphed? It reminds us, fairness prevails, eventually. Whew! That was intense, right? If this story gave you those satisfying chills, or maybe even motivated you to chase your own dreams, smash that like button and drop a comment below. What's the most epic revenge or comeback you've ever seen or experienced? Share your stories. I read every one. And if you want more real-life tales of triumph over adversity, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Thanks for watching. Remember, your dreams are worth fighting for. See you next time.